Hello, my name is Michael Trowbridge, and I'm one of the game designers for Steel Vulture. I'm going to go through the milestone Sprint 6, the current sprint for the final month of the project, and what I did and what I could not get to. I'm just going to go down the list. So the first one that I could not get to is the visual effects generation. Basically, I just wanted uh, the visual effects to only appear if the player is looking at them, and unfortunately, I just didn't have time to even get to this. Now, the game is running pretty smoothly, even without this. I just didn't want. I wanted even lower end PCs to be able to handle it, so eventually I will still end up doing this, but for now in this sprint, I was unable to get to it. Now, the first one that was completed is called the prompt box event. Basically, it's more so for the devs, but it is for the players as well. Um, During certain events in game, a prompt box will appear, and the player will have a choice between 1 to 4 choices, and depending on their choice, they'll get some sort of reward, or it'll backfire and be detrimental. So let's go ahead and show this one. All right, now that I'm in the project, um, I'm going to go ahead and I left a key in here so I can bring up the prompt system. And here it is. As you can see, it's not filled out, uh, but anyone of the devs can use this. You place the prompt here. Um, I even gave them instructions in the side of the prompt. But then the player down here will choose an option. And each one of these can be linked with a reward or take away resources from the player. So say they choose choice 2. Choice 2 was made. It'll tell them exactly what happened, and as soon as they click to continue, it'll actually affect them. So right there is where the code would hit to, say, give them 10 rocket because they made a good choice. The third task is fill level with environmental assets. This one was also completed, and this one took the majority of the time. Um, I had to swap out every single block mesh asset we had with um, all of the rooms that we have currently. And actually, technically, we have a new room that we added. Oh no, I'm sorry. We call it something different now. We call it the common room, but this took a very long time. But let's get in there and see it. All right. So this is the bridge area. Uh, Same layout as the old bridge. Some things move. There's different staircases in different areas. I went ahead and turned the lights on in this room, so it's a little easier to see. But and that's another thing I had to keep in mind. Every time lights are off, I still needed the player to be able to see what they were doing. So every room has a lights on and lights off version of it. But this is the bridge. And then we have weapons. Weapons definitely changed a little bit. You got some staircase leading up to the Steve Boost object here, and then when you have a target, it's above this table here. Life support. Uh, Life support is not how any of us really envisioned, but we were running out of time. So this room still needs some love. Uh, it's just basically a square room with the oxygen tank in it. But it does work for gameplay, so we're still pretty happy with this. I'll come back to this room once the lights are on, once Steve gets over here. This is the barracks, or what we call the common room now. See, it's got some desks and computers, some shelves. It's got the bed here and the light. All right, and here's back to the life support room with the lights on. So again, just some assets. You got some visual effects of dust and stuff like that in a lot of the rooms. Next up, we have the engines. This room definitely changed a lot. It used to be just over here, and there's the door to the room. Um, this door doesn't allow the player through it, but they can enter through over here. And um, Yeah, it used to be just kind of right over here. There was a little tiny staircase up to the tank here, and that was it. But the engine of a starship, I feel, needed a lot more. So I made this very industrial, a lot of assets, a lot of little cool features. Um, some of these lights don't turn on and off with the light switch, but either way, there's the engines. Then we have the corridor. The corridor got wider, so I actually did have to move a lot of these rooms back. But the corridor, still the same layout, just a little bit bigger. I've got a Shadow Steve over here too. The fourth task is called Steve Boosts. This one was another reason to move Steve around more often. We wanted the player to move Steve around more than they currently are. So this way, he gives a uh, buff, if you will, to the system that he is currently in. And each system is a little different. For instance, the bridge increases the speed um, of the cursor uh, and the speed of the ship that's flying towards the cursor. But let's get in there and see it. All right, now that we're back in the project, first let me show you the speed of the bridge controls, or the boost. So right now, see the ship and the cursor are about this speed. It's not the fastest in the world. It's not entirely slow either, but with Steve at the controls, once it gets over there, it will boost that by, I think, about 30 to 50%. I can't remember the numbers exactly, but now just a little tiny bit faster. Um, oh, we have an enemy. And of course. But yeah, and each system has their own benefits. I'm not going to go over each one of them, uh, otherwise this video will end up very long. But when Steve is at that system, whether it's a piece of that system or the actual like tank or whatnot itself, it'll give a small bonus. My fifth task, which I was unable to get to, was the damage system. Basically, right now, when the ship takes damage, the um, it starts a fire on the ship. But instead of a fire always spawning, since fire is actually really dangerous, it causes oxygen to go down and stuff like that. I wanted a more of a, like a damaged spot, and the player can actually fix these spots by using scrap. Um, this wasn't intended to be a stretch goal. This one I did want to get done. Again, just did not have enough time due to the multitude of other tasks that I ended up doing. Now this is still going to end up being in the game. There's the but I just didn't have time during this sprint. And the sixth one. Now this one was supposed to be a stretch goal. So obviously I didn't get time to do this one. But right now the only camera event is actually Shadow Steve. He pops up, scares the player. You know, he's all creepy. Um, and you turn the light on and you can get rid of him. But each one of these had a different, basically scare factor, but also a different way to get rid of them. So Shadow Steve, you turn on the lights. This thing called the face stares at the camera, and all that you have to do to get rid of him is after seeing him, you move cameras. But if you stare at him for too long, he breaks that camera, and then you have to fix the camera using Steve. So he's pretty simple. Once looked at, you look away. And then again, all three of the other ones are different. But this is a stretch goal, so eventually, we're hoping to add this, just not during this sprint. Uh, the next one is the Shadow Steve fire. Now, again, Shadow Steve currently doesn't have a big part of the game. He's just there for kind of spooks and scares. Um, but we understood that after the player gets well, used to him. He's not even going to be creepy anymore. So we actually did want to add an ability where if he's in a room for too long, he will start a fire in that room. And again, I mentioned fires are dangerous, so that would have been very dangerous for the player. But again, just did not have enough time for that one. The next one, which I can show you, is a lot like the Steve boost. This one's called the Power System version 2, because the first Power System was just the lights turning on and off. But this version, it basically does the same exact thing that Steve boost does, um, but it's with power. And they do stack. That was the hard part. So once, if Steve and the power is on in that same system, then there's a huge bonus to that system. But the bonuses are the exact same. It just gets bigger. But I'll go ahead and show that one. All right. So the power I'm going to show you is the weapons room. Um, Normally, when you click on this, you have to click on it while it's white, right? And when you click on it, it uses a rocket. Now, when you turn power on in this room, the white QuickTime event is actually a lot longer. I believe right now it's at 0.25 seconds or something. Maybe it's half a second. But when you turn power on, it gets a lot longer. There, see? A lot longer. I don't know if you noticed it, but I think it's twice as long as the original. Um, and there's a chance, a very low chance, I think it's like a 30% chance, that you actually don't use a rocket when you do it. Let's see if we will get that this time. We did. Look at that. It didn't even use a rocket. Um, Again, normally it would use a rocket, but there's a 30% chance that it wouldn't. Now, the second part of this is Power and Steve. Let me go ahead and get another asteroid targeted. Now, Steve and Power make this go up again a double the amount. You see how long that was? And there's like an 80% chance that you won't use a rocket. So we're almost guaranteed not to use a rocket here, but we'll try it anyways. Come on. No, no rocket used. So the benefit here for the player, again, they have to choose which room to power and which room Steve is going to be kind of focusing in. But it's up to them. They can pull these boosts from two different areas. For instance, like the fuel here. If they turn the power on in here and keep Steve at the helm, then they are saving fuel and their ship is a little bit faster. Uh, or they could just go full fuel if they want to go explore. It'll be a little slower, but they can go explore to their heart's content because fuel will be drastically reduced. And again, each room has the power and a place where Steve can go to. Well, every system has a power. Like this room doesn't. The power doesn't do anything in the barracks. It doesn't make you sleep faster. But all the rooms, actually, technically, right here, every room that says system has a thing in it. So here, you got oxygen. So if you turn the power on, or has sent Steve here, it would reduce oxygen because oxygen is always leaking. But anything that says cam, there's nothing for Steve to do. You can still turn on power to get rid of Shadow Steve here, but it doesn't give a boost. But I'm not going to go into each one of them. And then the last few issues are under other. Um, One of them I did not get to is ship docking. We have the capabilities of docking with derelict ships. Um, and the prompt system I mentioned earlier is actually kind of like a short-term version of what we're doing with ship docking. They just gotta make a choice and they get a reward or whatnot. um, but uh, I wasn't able to get to that portion of that. But all the other bugs that we had mentioned. I'm sure new ones have popped up, but the bugs that I was taking care of are all complete. So the first one I'll show you is in the radar. When you press pause, it causes the HUD of the radar to break, and it brings back the original persistent HUD. So I'll show you that. All right. So originally, when you went in here and then pressed uh, the pause button, that little back, that's actually a HUD element, that little back button would still be here. It wouldn't get rid of it. And then when you press resume, it would actually bring up the persistent HUD, this HUD out here, back into the radar. But as you can see now, it is completely fixed. Going in here, going back out, it completely goes back to the original, whatever HUD the player was currently on, it goes back to. Next is character stretch when animating. Um, this was a problem way back when I first put animations on all the objects for when Steve interacts with them. You know, he grabs the animation off of that object and it basically tells him what he should be doing. Um, there was a huge problem with the IK rig that I used because I didn't use one, and it caused the UE4 animations that I was using to stretch out the UE5 character. It was really silly, and a lot of people actually gave us pretty good reviews on his stretch, but it's just not what we were envisioning for the character, so I had to get it fixed. So let me show you that now. Alright, the best place to show you this is in the asset preview level. There's a secret button to get to this level from the uh, the main menu, but this is the only one that gets close enough. So, for instance, when Steve would get to an object he can interact with, his character, like skeleton mesh, would stretch super tall, and he'd get super weird looking. But now he does the animations perfectly, and the artist really helped out on this. I mean, it would affect everything. The switches interacting with the oxygen tank, everything. He would just get stretchy and super weird. But now, as you can see, it is fixed. Next up is the radar tutorial. It was skipping a portion of the mining, which is very crucial and key to the tutorial. Like, if we don't teach them how to mine, then most of the gameplay isn't there, and they won't even know that they have to do that. Um, and I will show you how I got that fixed. All right. So on this step, the thing I found was if they left this room, like it's telling them, it says go to the weapons room. If they left this room and they did not have an asteroid scanned, they would have to come back in here to scan an asteroid. It tells them like, hey, you can't destroy the asteroid without having it targeted. But now, so I will do that. Repeat those steps. Access the weapons room camera. Um, Play a nice little animation kind of thing. Go here. This is the weapons room. It's going to tell the player, like, all right, now you have to click on it. But if it's not there, go target an asteroid. So this is the part that would break. If they came back in here to target the asteroid and then left, it would actually skip that whole portion like it finished. But now it does not. It lets them come in here and actually destroy the asteroid before moving on. Um, and again, skipping that step is very detrimental to their learning process. But that is now fixed. Next up is the fire that spawns in the ship didn't drain oxygen like we intended. The player wouldn't have noticed because it's just a fire that gets bigger and spreads and whatnot. But we did want it to actually drain their oxygen. So it puts more of, well, a fire under their step to get it put out. Um, and it wasn't draining oxygen, but I'll show you now that it does. All right. So if we watch the oxygen, um, eventually it'll tick down. We can actually watch it from here too. This little bar is diegetic, so it does follow it. Uh, yep, see a little tiny tick. Now, I believe currently the oxygen, it takes about 7 to 9 minutes for this whole thing to go down, which is plenty of time to go through the entire level. And then, of course, the goal is to go get more oxygen to place it inside of the oxygen tank. But with a fire spawn, and I have a cheeky way of getting a fire to spawn, we just got to go hit something. What's a fire? Oh, give me one second, I gotta scan it, and then boom. Okay, let me find the fire. Fire. Go back to the oxygen room, and it ticks a little faster. Um, one fire, every individual fire makes this actually tick faster and faster and faster. And then the large fire will make it tick even faster. Um, so, like I said, if there are too many of these on board, or if this gets big, the player really needs to put it out. Otherwise, the oxygen will go all the way down, and then Steve will start dying because he's suffocating. We'll wait for this to get big, and then we can really see the oxygen um, go down quickly. There we go. Now, I mean, you can physically watch it move now. It's extremely fast. Well, there you go. So it now drains oxygen. And then my final task is some steps of the radar tutorial checklist were checking off incorrectly. This is a small one, but the code behind that checklist is very extensive, so it was actually pretty difficult to find and get corrected. But I will show you now that the checklist checks off perfectly. And that is the end of my tasks. I believe I had something in the likes of like 26 of them, and got oh no, I think I had way more than 26. I'm not even sure how many I had done. I just know I did more than 15. But that is the end of mine. So thank you, and thanks for watching. All right, I'm actually going to show you this one in editor, at least first, because it's a lot more easy to see what happened. So basically, once they get to that radar, it calls this event radar directions, and it pulls up a prompt um, right here. Nope, I'm sorry, but it pulls up a prompt giving them the four things that they need to do. And I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I just put a boolean on each one of those things that they could do. And when they do it, it immediately calls radar directions again and goes through this kind of like list. It asks, like, all right, on this very first one, which one did they do? Did they move the cursor? If yes, move cursor complete. Did they scan something? Scan complete. And so on and so forth. And then after that, this will tell the prompt or the radar directions which index they're going to go to from there. So as you can see, because of the way I did this, if any of these numbers were incorrect or if any of these bulls were hooked up in the wrong spot, um, they could center the cursor and it would tell them, "Good job, you moved the ship." Like, and that's what was wrong. One or two of these were in the wrong position, and it caused an interesting development. But now every single one of them is in a good position. These are all part of that Boolean check to see which order they did it in. So I had to count for every single order they could have done it in. They started with this one, then they went to this one, then they went to that one, and that one, whatnot. But every single one of them is in the correct order now. So I will show you in game. All right. So inside of the tutorial, you eventually end up on a screen like this. And here's the directions that it tells the player what they need to do. And if you watch, as soon as I do one of these, it will basically check it off. So the first one is left click the directional. Actually, you know what? Let's go in a weird order. Left click the bulb in between the arrows to move the ship. Boop. Move ship complete. Next, let's left click the directional keys to move the radar cursor. Boop. Complete. Move the cursor to any asteroid to scan. Actually, let's do this one. Center button. Boop. And then the last one is scan an asteroid. Scan an asteroid. And as soon as all of that's complete, it tells you what to do next. But that is the end of my task list. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to the next game designer in the group.
Hello, my name is Anthony Schroder, and I'm on Team Pretty Ape, and I'm going to be doing the final sprint review for our shipped build. And now, in order to do that, I'm going to be going over some of the tasks in Jira, and we'll be showing them off in game. So, first, up here is just all the sound effects work that I put in, and we'll start down here because these are probably easier to show. Some of these are very difficult to show, like for example the first one, create swarm missile 2. This is an upgrade that is you need to have another upgrade to get, so to show it off in build would be very difficult for me to do, but it is in there. Basically it just takes the code from the swarm missile 1 and it adds 2 additional missiles to that code. Now implement quick torpedo. This is the first one that we can actually show in game. So let's go ahead and open to build. Go ahead and get into a new game. Go to the radar. Now I believe U is the quick move button. So that's what quick move does. And I believe, is the quick torpedo button. So if I hit left, right, up, or down, it will instantly move the cursor in that direction now and fire a torpedo. And this is it working for the 4 directions. Now this also works with the table, I believe. And there we go. So that's the quick torpedo. Let's go ahead and get this out of the menu. Now going down the list, we have add stationary turret to jet box. Go ahead and come back, get a new game going. Now let's see if we can find a turret somewhere in the generation. I believe the turrets spawn in asteroid fields. So if we could locate one of those, that would probably be best. And there we go. There is a stationary turret that I have added into the generation box. Now this has been in the game for a while, but it was actually never in the code anywhere for it to fire. Oops, I did not mean to close that. So that would be add stationary turret to gen box. As you can see here, add stationary turret 2, which is the name of it in the code, to gen box, so it appears inside of the procedure generation, and that is in the game now. Change torpedo mining to pickup. So this is if you shoot a torpedo and it hits one of the asteroids. We wanted it to have the same pickup material as it did when you normally mine the asteroid in the weapons room. So for example, if I go over here, fire a torpedo, you'll see the material now flies out of it. Actually went pretty far. And also it's gone into another torpedo. You gotta blow this one up. And you see the explosion of that actually sent our original material even further. We gotta go grab it. Yeah. Now all these are rocket asteroids. Okay, there we go. There's one. As you can see, those are the three different pickups right there: oxygen, ignite, and rocket. And they all came out of shooting torpedoes at asteroids instead of just mining them. Headed back to the Jira. We have fixed temporal anomalies teleport function. Now, this was a bug where basically temporal anomalies are supposed to teleport the player, but they were not doing that. So we had to go ahead and fix that. Now, this one also might be difficult to find. Because this is also a random encounter through anomalies. Like the anomaly, A, we have to find an anomaly, right? And B, we have to, after finding the anomaly, we have to have it be a temporal anomaly. And then after that, we have to have the anomaly actually choose to, teleport us. So I don't think we don't currently have the anomaly reader upgrade, so we won't know what type of anomaly it is. So we're just gonna have to fly into it and see what occurs. Tail reset to 0. Treasure spawn. Wonder if that was the Swarm Torpedo 2. Oh, that's Swarm Torpedo 1. Interesting. Let's see if we can go find another one. I believe the battle remnants just spawned on the other side of this asteroid belt. Could contain an anomaly. So we're gonna have to fly. We're starting to see wrecked ships, which means there could definitely be an anomaly around here because this is a battle remnants. I think it's safe to say, as I've run out of fuel trying to find one, that it's going to be pretty difficult to show off this, but it was simply a bug fix, so it's not that big a deal. Make material pickups have different trajectory each time they spawn. Now, I believe we saw that earlier, where the first asteroid that I mined with the torpedoes sent the rocket very far away, but the second one, asteroid that I mined directly after it, sent it not really anywhere. So let's just see if we can show that. So there we have ignite, and it kind of went down into the left. Let's see, does this contain ignite? It does, and let's see, does it go down into the left? It did, although I think that was just actually very good luck. There we go. See, now that ignite went very far. The trajectory of that was clearly very different than the previous two ignites that I mined. So that is that. Change wrecked ship mining to pickup. Now this is when you used to salvage the wrecked ships, you would instantly get the material, similar to the old way of mining in the game. And we wanted to switch it to the material pickup. So let's see if we can go find a wrecked ship. So there's battle remnants that just got generated somewhere in this direction. Should run into a wrecked ship. Oh, there's one. So I don't think the scrap goes anywhere. But you can see now when it spawns, you can go and you can pick it up. Scrap gains 7. Now we have change percents on Gen Box medium and hard spawn rates. Now this was simply because, and again, it's going to be kind of difficult because it was a simple percent change, so can't really show the previous how it worked previously. But essentially, the medium and hard spawn mode, the modes for those generation types, has things spawn farther apart from each other. And because I kept the same percentages as the normal generation, but now things were farther apart, this meant that um, sometimes, because the spawn rates were lower, you would be going very far distances and seeing very scarce amounts of anything. So I tweaked the medium and hard spawn rates to have um, those in it. Basically, up the percentages of things spawning, so that way there is, you know, because the medium and hard are already harder because there's more space in between each thing. So, and the last one is fix oxygen bug, restore oxygen bug and anomaly, and that is also again hard to uh, demonstrate in nature because anomalies are um, random. They're basically random encounters. Um, so it'd be pretty difficult to find that. But what the bug was instead of restoring oxygen like it said, it actually set your oxygen to nothing. Um, so that's been fixed. So those were, and the at the beginning of this to do column is implement biome reader. Now this is one of my tasks that I actually did not do, so we won't really worry about that. Everything left is the sound effects, and I think I'm actually recording with sound off. Yes, I am. So I will go ahead and start recording another video with the sound on. All right, we're back. Let's get in there. Let's turn it down a little. All right, now the first sound demo is mining success sound effect. So first we're going to have to go over here, scan, go to the weapons room, asteroid appears, wait for it to turn white, and boom, we have a little sound that goes off. Next is going to be mining failure sound effect. So let's go ahead and get this over here. Now this will also be able to count both mining failure and destroy asteroid through sound effects. So the failure is going to play several times, and then we will hear the destroy sound effect. Of course, I had to switch at that time. So there we go. Those were the mining failure and the destroyed asteroid through failure sound effect. Now we have material pickup, and I think we have some materials out already. We can go ahead and go to these. Yeah. Let's go ahead and turn the scanning mode off so we don't. Well, you'll see here that there are different pitches for the different materials. There we go. So that would be the material pickup. Now we have the torpedo fire sound. That's actually the swarm missile sound effect. Torpedo hit sound effect. So that's a swarm torpedo down here. Now we can go over the torpedo hit sound. Find something hit. A little like doom. So that's that. Um, the torpedo fire. I wonder if I restart the game because I know we currently have it where upgrades are, they continue. But as you can hear, the sound is reset upon closing game. So perhaps we can go and demonstrate the torpedo sound. There we go. Beautiful. So that is the torpedo sound, torpedo fire. The torpedo hit. The swarm torpedo is the first one I showed. And now the last one on here is the treasure sound effect. So let's go see if we can find some rare treasure. Here we go, a minefield. I'll just blow up these mines and get them out of our way. Beautiful. Now, on the other side of minefields, there's a potential for treasure to be there. So we're going to have to go. We'll generate all the... There we have... Clearly, this is not what we're looking for. Let's go this way. We got an asteroid belt. Came from the left. So I believe if we go north, there could potentially be treasure. Do some treasure hunting. Now we have another minefield though. So this is a potential to treasure has spawned, but I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough fuel to get there. Oh, absolutely true. We'll give it one more go, and if not, you're just gonna have to take my word for it that collecting treasure has a sound attached to it. Now let's get flying. We're looking for a minefield. Asteroid belt, that's not what we're looking for. Nope. Okay, we have some minefields spawning now. Oh dear. Alright. Another minefield. And again, we're about to run out of fuel, so I think this is just one of those. Oh, we found treasure! Let's go! Of course, I had to get hit by a rocket as soon as that played. But you kind of heard it there. It was the dum 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 before the very loud whistle sound effect was played. Jesus, I'm sorry. All right, there we go. Those are the sound effects and all the other tasks that I could easily demo inside of our current build. But I've done all of these tasks during this month's sprint. Thank you very much for watching.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Martinez, and this is my sprint review for Des 6. So just to get this out the way first, these tasks on the left are the ones that I was not able to complete during the sprint. So that's the NPC stamina audio for when the NPC stamina bar gets to 25% or lower. And then down here, the stuff for the windscreen that I wanted to do, basically create a whole new level, copy the music, add narrative stuff, and then transfer the credits and the stat checking that I wanted to implement. I wasn't able to get to that. And then also this last one down here, adding a specific volume slider for the sound effects. I wasn't able to get to that either. So now I'm just going to go through the task that I did complete, which is change the Z order of the fire alert widget. I had to do that one because whenever the fire alert widget would come up, it was blocking access to the persistent HUD buttons. So I just wanted to change that. And then I have tasks for the audio effects for the other 3 radio bars that are shown in game. So it's NPC's health, the ship health, and oxygen. I'll be showing those later in the video. First thing I'm going to do when the build opens though, I'm going to go through the main menu audio feedback and then the credit screen. And later in the game as well, I'm going to show the flash animation for the oxygen bar. This was a carryover task from the previous month. I wasn't able to get to it as I was updating the flash animations for the other 3. So I pulled it over here. I was able to get that done. And then the radar scan text, there was a piece of feedback that you gave where you wanted the radar scan info on top left to be a little more attention grabbing. So I added a little animation to that, and I added a sound effect for whenever you go and scan something. So I'm going to be showing that as well. So now I'm going to open up Perforce. Just a little warning, if you're watching this in the dark, this is in the dark mode. I'm about to bring up Perforce, which is super bright, so get ready. All right, it's Perforce. Open up a build. All right, so now showing first that little click noise that you hear. That's the audio feedback that I was talking about for the main menu. And then here we have the new credit screen where I divided designers, artists, and then I went into the different aspects of the game and added everyone's names in there. All right, that's the end of that. So no. All right, so first thing I'm going to show in here is the stuff for the radar. So I'm going to go down here and scan this asteroid in the bottom of the radar, and then it should pop up on the top left, the scan stuff, hear an audio effect, and then see the text flash for a little bit. All right, going to show it one more time just to be sure. All right. So there's that. Now, since the ones I gotta show are gonna take some time, I'm gonna play through this until I get to where I need to, but I'm gonna cut the middle part out. So it should only be like a couple seconds for you, but yeah, I'll be back. So real quick, showing my task for the Z order change. I'm just gonna go through. Here I'm able to switch through the screen using the buttons, even though this is still up. So that's the first task that I completed. Yeah, so pretty soon, the oxygen is about to get kind of low. So once that hits 25%, you're gonna hear the oxygen alarm go off. Just gonna come over here really quick. And there's the alarm going off, and then the flash animation for that. Okay, so for the final two tasks, which were the audio cues for the ship health and the NPC health, I wanted to do it in a way to where it would only play those sounds in game, but I'd have to essentially fail the game in a very particular way, and it's much more difficult than I thought it would, and it's taking much longer than I anticipated. So I won't be able to show in game currently, but what I can show is the function setup for how I had them laid out. This is the function for the oxygen, alarm, and flash animation. So basically just checking the math, and then after it goes through the branch checks, it plays the animation and then plays the sound. And if I go over to this one, Steve Health, which is the NPC health, it's set up the exact same way, and tested this earlier and it does work. And then also for the ship health, same exact setup. So I'm pretty confident, well, I'm sure actually, that both of those two work as well. So that's what I'm going to be showing. That's what I'm going to be showing for my tasks. So just to recap, I did the Z order for that fire alert, the NPC and ship health audio cues that I showed the functions of, the oxygen audio I showed in game and build, so that those are working. Main menu audio feedback and credit screen I showed at the beginning, and then the oxygen radar bar flash animation that was shown as well, and then the audio and animation for the radar scan was shown. So that's it for my sprint review. Thank you for watching.
Alright, my name is Vinny Zhang, and I will be showcasing all the tasks I have done during this milestone. These are all the things I listed down during this milestone, but I'm sure I did extra, so yeah, let's go over it. First one is to highlight things that are clickable. There's a highlight for the light switch, the bed, the chair, the oxygen, the engine, and the weapons. And of course the radar highlight, which is the different letters inside the radar table, which I'll be showing you right now. We're using this build 4.01. So let's showcase the highlight. There's highlight for the chair. There's the outline of the chair. There's an outline for the light switch. And then in here, there's the light switch. There's a highlight for different letters for what it does. And there's a highlight for the weapons. There's also a highlight for the oxygen, the bed, and of course the engine. I don't know why the engine is there. It should be somewhere else so the player could see it, but that could be fixed later on. And every every different chair has a highlight. Like this thing here, I don't think there's a light switch in here, but there's a light switch here. So here you see there's a highlight here. So that's everything for this task. Next one is to populate the different rooms. There's the bridge, the engine, weapons, life support, barracks. So these are all the different, but all the assets we use for the bridge, for the engine, for the life support, for the weapons, and for the barracks. Now life support, let's go over that. So of course in life support, which is with the bed. This is the bed. This is the asset I used for in the barracks. And then for the bridge, all these like floors, everything that's in here. Like all of these are separate assets. And all of these, which I all listed down here. There's the engine. In the engine, there's the all the oxygen tank, all the cases, and which I listed like right here, like case A, the toolbox, the floor, and in the weapons room, there's like the ceiling. There's also cases in the weapons room too, which I'll show you right here. See, there's like right here, there's the case. And all these things are all listed there, and then the ceiling. I think that's everything for this task particular. Next one is to make sure all the buttons work as intended. There's the patrol, there's the start, quick torpedo, and then there's torpedo and center. So let's showcase that inside the radar table, which is in here. So you move, right, left. Yeah, I didn't really need to list this because they all work. This is the move to center, so that works. And then let's go scan something really quick just to make sure the torpedo also worked. That also worked. So now let's move into range for the quick torpedo. The quick torpedo is right here, and you move up, you press up, and there's a torpedo that goes up. Now let's go for the patrol. The patrol, you press it, it just moves by itself. Then you click it again, and then it just stopped. And also use fuel at the same time. We are gonna remove the patrol access because we don't need that. But then there's start, that moves there, so it works. And then if you're like somewhere off in the radius, and you could just move center to just move to center, and you could continue to play the game. And that's everything for this task. Everything works as intended. And then lastly, the three tasks I did not do, which is add particle system, and for the engine tank and the oxygen tank, is on low priority, so I just decided not to do it. And then add sound effects for the buttons when you press them. There are some sound effects when something happens, like when you press the torpedo, it shoots, hits something, boom. Not all buttons have a sound effect, because if there's way too much, then I think it'll get a bit annoying. And then the delete some assets inside the different rooms. This is when there was the block mesh. There was some stuff that I didn't like, so I just removed them. So some of them are like the pillars. So let's showcase some pillars. The corridor, like the corridor here, there used to be a lot of pillars when it was still block mesh, so I deleted that. There's also the weapons room. There used to be a second room, but now we made it so there's 2 floors instead of a different room, so you can see everything. Um, and then optimizing stamina system. It takes about like a minute and a half before stamina's gone. And then when you're using stamina, you gotta go to the bed. To regain stamina. So now they're in the bed, they're using stamina, regaining stamina, and then when they get off, they start losing stamina again when they keep walking. And yeah, that should be every task that's listed and finished. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.
Thank you everybody for watching. This has been the final sprint review for Pretty Apes Steel Vulture. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks again.